Good morning. Hi, everybody. How are you? Are you good? I guess it's actually a question. Are you well? Thanks. Appreciate it. My notes are all in a whirlwind here in the moment, so see how it goes. I am Drew Cole. I'm one of the pastors around here. Have the privilege to hang out with some amazing people, the students and the kids, and it's been such a joy. We had Kids Connect on Tuesday. That was so fun to just see the people who are willing to volunteer and the kids here and the joy that we got to be a part of. So really excited for that. Rick and Shauna, Rick is our lead pastor if you haven't met him. He's on a grand adventure with his wife, so we're so glad that they're able to go do that. Like COVID was pretty limiting, and so they had a moment and a time to be able to go on this cruise together. So we celebrate that for them. Really excited. We're walking into this summer series called the Summer Psalms. And so each week there will be a different psalm that we're walking through. Hopefully this summer, as we engage Psalms, there will be a growth for us, that out of the 150 collection of songs and poems and laments and everything in Psalms, that we are allowed to enter in together to a different way of responding to God. It's ironic that I'm the first person talking about Psalms because truth be told, I can't clap and sing at the same time. Never have, never will, I don't think. Lyrics are not my thing. It's like, oh, that sounded pretty, and I don't remember anything that I just sang. That's a problem for me. Also, I tried to learn guitar when I was in, elementary or some other age, and then my instructor moved to Africa. I don't think I'm a reason for it, but obviously never continued with that because of that formational time when someone leaves you, whatever. Maybe that's a scar. Maybe that's what's wrong with me, is I have scars with music. All that to say, though, no, I do believe that Psalms are important. It causes me to have to be more intentional and focused with them and not just come with an analytic mind towards these verses and towards these things that are capturing images and truths and presenting them in a way that allows it to be open and allows it to express in a way that my words and our language and just conversation can't always reach. I also know that Jesus believed in the Psalms and was found quoting Psalms. So if he held them high, I believe I need to enter into those as well. And then his early followers were encouraging one another to be creative in the ways that they use psalms, hymns, and songs of the Spirit to build one another up. So that's our invitation as well, to allow this psalm to build us up. Psalms give us a language that we need in order to be honest and authentic with God. Truly, there is no other language that I know in my relationship with God and how I respond to him that allows the honest and authenticity to be expressed in vulnerability other than a psalm. That you can walk through these psalms and you read some of them and some of them make you kind of want to blush a little bit. Like David just is really expressive about some things where you're like, dude, I don't know if you're supposed to be talking to God like that. But actually, it's giving us permission. It's allowing us to enter into an authentic and honest relationship. As any relationship we experience with one another is a shadow into the real relationship we get to have with God. And any honest and authentic relationship we have with another person gives us a glimpse, a taste of what that can be with God. Because I know for myself, those people that I trust, that I can be no filter with, we have a relationship I don't have with other people. It's just this depth and ability and intimacy in those. There's a lot of things about Psalms that are gifts to us. They give us permission and they're a gift. Ultimately, Psalms are a gift that show us that God is not afraid of our emotions or experiences. Truly, we are created, embodied, storied beings. What I mean by that is that we have been given a body and we live storied lives, and that God created that with purpose and is not afraid of any of that. That yes, our emotions have things that are a little chaotic at times and have these pieces that can get overwhelming, but it's nothing that God has not known, and it's nothing that God is afraid of. That truly our emotional state matters. And the more that we allow ourselves to be honest and real about these things, the more authentic we live. And we can find in this giant collection, 150, honestly, if you just read 5 a day over a month, you read them all. Pretty cool, just math. But if you read in this 150 collection, there's this beautiful thing of engaging the Psalms as an unfiltered and human way to relate to God, and how it doesn't clean up the mess before him. We're going to be reading a psalm that is, in my perception, is kind of messy. It's unfiltered. It's this honest cry out to God and desire for him to meet us. And I believe that it has meaning to us in the seasons that we have just recently experienced over the last 1.5 to 2 years with COVID and loss of community and all the ups and downs and loss of things that we held on to and the disruption to the things that we've experienced. But also beyond COVID, I believe that there's just the life of tension and existence that we know as human beings that this psalm invites us into. So we're going to be reading Psalm 77. So if you have a Bible, please open it to Psalm 77. If you don't, there's Bibles in front of you or to the side of you. It's on page 406 if you have a Bible like this one. So cheat, there you go. You're welcome. There we go, technical. If you don't have a Bible, we'd love for you to take your Bible with you. So we're going to read Psalm 77, and as I read this, I'm going to read at medium speed. So not super slow and not super fast, but medium. And I ask that you just allow the words to be spoken over you. Allow yourself to be sensitive to the parts that meet you in the season and the things that you've experienced, or that you are experiencing, or that you've noticed in the people around you. Because ultimately, following Jesus is not just about us. It's also about the invitation to be love extended to others. So may we grow in compassion to people who have walked this journey of Psalm 77. Sorry. There we go. Psalm 77, for the director of music, from Jeduthun of Asaph, a psalm. I cried out to God for help. I cried out to God to hear me. When I was in distress, I sought the Lord at night. I stretched out untiring hands, and I would not be comforted. I remembered you, God, and I groaned. I meditated, and my spirit grew faint. You kept my eyes from closing. I was too troubled to speak. I thought about the former days, the years of long ago. I remembered my songs in the night. My heart meditated, and my spirit asked, will the Lord reject forever? Will he never show his favor again? Has his unfailing love vanished forever? Has his promise failed for all time? Has God forgotten to be merciful? Has he in anger withheld his compassion? Then I thought, to this I will appeal. The years when the Most High stretched out his right hand. I remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will consider all your works and meditate on all your mighty deeds. Your ways, God, are holy. Well, God is as great as our God. You are the God who performs miracles. You display your power among the peoples. With your mighty arm, you redeemed your people and descendants of Jacob and Joseph. The waters saw you, God. The waters saw you and writhed. The very depths were convulsed. The clouds poured down water. The heavens resounded with thunder, and your arrows flashed back and forth. Your thunder was heard in the whirlwind. Your lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and quaked. Your path led through the sea, your ways through the mighty waters, though your footprints were not seen. You led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I have a few questions for you to ponder in response to what we just read. So take them in, notice, don't notice. Have you ever cried out to God in a time of distress and felt nothing in return? Verse 1. Have you felt like in that distress, God was nowhere to be found in your life or heart, and you felt completely alone? Verse 2. Have you been through a season, God came to mind and you actually groaned? You didn't remember him and felt great, but you actually groaned. Verse 3. Have you asked questions like verse 7, will you reject forever? Or verse 8, has your love vanished? Or 9, God, have you forgotten? Are you angry? Verse 10, had to think of a season in the past when God was faithful, to live off of in the present that doesn't feel him there? Have you ever felt like you were in a war? Verses 16 to 19. Have you ever had to put trust in God as shepherd to lead you, even when you don't fully know where he's leading you to? Verse 20. Welcome to church. Super fun, right? Yeah, this psalm is like they're here, whereas some Davidic psalms are like, yay, joy. This one's like, but I find it to be so real. I feel like this psalm allows permission for the reality of the tension of life. That really, in the tension that we experience, we want to go to extremes. We don't like tension. So we're going to go to this side of this conversation and not deal with this part. Or we're going to let it go this way and deal with this side, right? That's just how we kind of live, because this is no fun. But the truth of this psalm allows that tension to be this fine line that we get to walk and see. That it's open and honest about this season and these experiences that we have in relationship to God and to one another. It's not put under the rug, it's exposed. It's allowing light to be cast upon it, not darkness, not for us to hide behind, but for us to come into the light and allow things to be declared as they are in order to be brought into freedom. And that there's a tension in our growing relationship with God, and that is okay. Psalm 77 names a felt experience of a season of time of feeling alone in the dark. I had some friends in college, and they all went to mines, and I was just kind of one of the roommates there. And there's this really cool aqueduct in Golden. If you've ever been, if you drive down 6, you look to your left, up the mountain, Mount Zion, there's this really cool aqueduct right there. And so we used to run it as friends, and we would do that. And then there was one time we were going to go do it at the nighttime when it's all dark and stuff, you know. And so we did that, but I went a different way than my friends, and I beat them to this top. And so then I was walking down this path, and it's super dark, and then I'm starting to get a little anxious, because it's I don't know what monsters are out here. And so literally my heart starts going a little quick, and I start running back the direction that I think they're supposed to be coming, and then I get to the end and they're not there. And so then I start freaking out even more. I'm who's behind me? I don't know. Now I have to run back that way. And so then I start freaking out more, and I start calling my friend, and I'm Jared, hey, I'm not, please don't hang up. I don't want to die out here alone, so can you just keep talking to me, please? And so the darkness is feeling it's just closing in on me. And then lo and behold, they're there, and no monster got me. All that to say, that's kind of the feeling of this, though, right? Is that there's this felt experience of being alone in the dark. That when that happens, all we do is want to grasp for the light, the thing that will ease us out of the pain or the chaos or the fear or the things going on internally or whatever experience that we're having, that we want to grasp for a light. We want to grasp for that phone call. We want to do those things. And ultimately, this psalm doesn't really leave the psalmist in a place of when he's initially trying to grasp for the light, being met by anything. It's kind of left in a tension at the start. Have you ever heard of the sentiment that absence makes the heart grow fonder? Yes, potentially. It's really reserved for 14-year-olds and summer break, and you don't get to see your crush anymore, and it's just my heart just hurts. But then it's 2022, so you can just FaceTime or whatever, so absence just kind of is lost on everyone. But ultimately, the sentiment back in the day when you were love-struck teenager, absence just makes your heart just long to see them next. Also, though, I think there is that known reality of absence makes the heart grow fonder, but there's a question mark to this, because I think for me at times, absence can make my heart grow bitter or make my heart grow indifferent. That when I don't have the experience of the person with me or the things happening, I start to get frustrated that it's not there. And I start to think against it versus what does it mean to advance towards it. And so ultimately, I think Psalm 77 walks this fine line, allowing us to learn what it looks like, that there is this sometimes lack felt of God's presence. And it's throwing the psalmist for a dizzy and feeling this push and pull of who God says he is, but who he's not experiencing him as, and what do you do with all of that, and this tension of our journey with God. There's this, his name is C.S. Lewis. He was a writer, author, wrote Narnia series, if you know any of that. So few decades ago. English, so there's a little thing that we'll have to adjust as we read. But ultimately, he wrote this book, and it's a unique book. It's kind of its own genre. It's called Screw Tape Letters, and ultimately, it's this head demon writing to his mentee demon about this person, and it puts this twist on things so that anytime that he's referring to he, it's God, and the enemy is God, and creatures are us, and ultimately it's to give us this insight of these places where we might experience God working in us, and we don't understand it. We misunderstand how God is working in it, and we don't like it. Yet God is at work in our lives for the better. And so throughout these letters between Wormwood and Screwtape, like ultimately there's this invitation for us to see the deception that we can so easily fall into, but also to recapture some of the things that God is actually doing, to reframe them in a different way. So I'm going to read a quick excerpt from that. So every time he says he, it's God. Every time you hear creature, it's us. And then when you hear enemy, it's God. Sooner or later, he withdraws, if not, in fact, at least from their conscious experience, all those supports and incentives. He leaves the creature to stand up on its two legs, to carry out from the will alone duties which have lost all relish. It is during such trough periods, so low points, much more than during the peak periods, that it is growing into the sort of creature he wants it to be. The prayers offered in the state of dryness are those which please him best. We can't tempt to virtue as we do to vice. He wants them to learn to walk and must therefore take away his hand. And if only the will to walk is readily there, he is pleased even with their stumbles. Do not be deceived, Wormwood. Our cause is never more in danger than when a human, no longer desiring but still intending to do our enemy's will, looks round upon a universe from which every trace of him seems to have vanished, and asks why he has been forsaken, and still obeys. That's Psalm 77 captured in a unique, different way. That's an experience that gives us light into a father, a loving father who God is, who delights even in our stumbles. So I have the amazing privilege to have a 2-year-old daughter named Sawyer with Shelby, and she is my joy. And if you ask me how my week is, and I'll just tell you it's great because of Sawyer. So all that to say, this captures for me something really specific and really unique, and I think captures something of Psalm 77 that we need to hear and we need to know. That my daughter, I have seen her go from baby to toddler, and in that development, she learned to walk. And that was so fun, so hard, super annoying, but amazingly beautiful. And so, honestly, if you have been a father or a mother or seen anyone learn to walk, or you have the idea from a movie or whatever, ultimately you walk with the kid and you're holding their hands, and then you start to let go, and then you keep letting go and they fall. And then you try it again, or you have mom over there and you have dad over here and you say who you want to pick. Not really. But ultimately you're like, come here, come here, come here. And you're just trying to get them to come to you, right? If I didn't let Sawyer, if I held Sawyer's hands every moment of every day, and I was like, nope, you're not gonna fall ever. I've got you. Nope, you got this. Nope, I'm here always. Remember, dad's with you. Like, ultimately, I would not be loving her well. I would be smothering her and not letting her grow and mature. And so honestly, even in the act of learning to walk and see my daughter grow in that, I have to step away and she has to be there at some point for her to come to me, right? I have to allow my absence to allow her to draw her presence to me. It's to mature her. It's to love her, to see her grow, and to cheer her on. When we sometimes don't have the experience of God's presence with us, we think he's mad at us. We think he doesn't love us. We think maybe he's not real. We think, if you're here, why are you not here with me? Ultimately, what I think is a part of it, it's not that simple, it's more complex, but I think a part of it is at times in my experience with God, he's taking away the feeling of God to see if I'm chasing the feeling or him. And ultimately, it's this invitation to say, hey, come here. Like, learn to walk. I love your stumbles. Just keep stumbling. Don't stop stumbling, right? If my daughter stopped trying to walk, that'd be so sad. Because I can't celebrate the awesome things that we get to do as she starts running now, right? Like attempting to run. She's a toddler, so that feet don't go very fast. All that to say, it's just super fun, right? Because you keep seeing this development and this growth. And this is who our Father is one who loves us and delights in our stumbles. We have to be okay at times to know that He is our ever-present help, even when we're struggling to see it or feel it. That truly, that's what our psalm says. He is our ever-present help in trouble. Part is allowing there's a bit more grace to that word than what we sometimes narrow in on. But there's time when I have less faith and he's still faithful. Or that I am lacking faith and he's still faithful. Or that I don't have faith and yet he's still faithful. Some Psalms, including this one, remind us that we at times need to learn to lean on the past in order to sustain us in the present and hold on to hope for the future. Do you notice that in Psalm 77? He's crying out to God in the present, not experiencing anything. Then he kind of has these questions about, are you who you say you are? I'm really not feeling that. I'm feeling the opposite. And then he says, no, I will remember. And then he does a remembering, but then he has to go a level deeper to another remembrance. Remembrance of who God was with the Red Sea, but also ultimately who God is in the past to help him with the present, to hold on to hope for the future. And if you haven't known that experience, that's great. I have to look back at the past, not to wish the past was the present, but to look at the past and know who he is, that he is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and be okay in the present, knowing that tomorrow he's the same. That we are people who remember, and that is a gift of God for us to know him and follow him. So when we enter seasons of dryness or seasons that we're trying to figure this tension of life and God out, we need to stop living for the pleasure principle of our cultural moment and start seeing where there's a better way through the moment, even if it doesn't feel good. The pleasure principle of the cultural moment that we live is basically that if it feels good, you do it. If it doesn't feel good, you don't want to do it. The absence of God's presence in our lives is for sure not something that we want. And so when that tension happens or that moment is our experience, the invitation is not to just give up, but to press in. Psalm 77 is an invitation to a deeper trust that God is who he says he is, even when we don't feel him. It's a permission we are granted from this psalm to ask these questions we at times don't feel like we can. And we're allowed to be authentic and real with God. He's not afraid of our emotions. So I have an invitation for us this week. I believe God is an invitational God, not a God who's going to be telling you this is what you need to do. He's invitational. He says, come to me and follow me. It's the invitation of, hey, try this. Take it or leave it. It's your choice, but ultimately I'm going to extend the invitation to you. And so the invitation to you, I believe, for us as a collective body and hopefully over this summer, is to read a psalm or 2 or 10. I don't care how many you read. Just read a psalm at least. Sit with it and soak in it. Allow the Spirit to connect it to your current moment, experience, and emotion, and allow its language to give you the language you need to talk with God. Pray for us, and then Kara will come up. Jesus, thanks for this morning. Thanks for what you're doing in and through this body and this opportunity to say that we want to be yours. Reframe our minds around your way. Cast for us the vision of life and life to the full that we need. Thank you for Psalm 77 and the opportunity that it grants us to be real with you. May the language connect to us and our experience and allow us to connect with you more. In Jesus' name, amen. Kara?
Thanks, Drew. I love that invitation you gave us at the end and the reminder that God isn't afraid of our emotions. Most of the time when I open up Psalms, I'll see something and be like, oh, that's something that I prayed recently and didn't realize it was okay to talk to God that way. But I love seeing my own experience and other stories. So thanks for sharing, Drew. Guys, around here, we love prayer. We really believe in the power of prayer and that when all of us join together as a community and pray for each other, that God moves and that there's power there. So around you, there are prayer cards. I mentioned them at the beginning of service too, but we would love to invite you to write down whatever's been on your heart or on your mind, anything that you would like us to join in with you to pray over. So I just invite you to write that down. We have baskets in the back of the room that you can drop those into on your way out this morning. We've got a group of people who pray over those requests all week long. So we would love to see what's on your heart and to join you in that. If you'd prefer to send in prayer requests electronically, or if something comes to mind throughout the week, you can always send in a prayer request to this email address. It is prayer@westwoodcc.org. So you can send those in throughout the week. There's also going to be a QR code on the slides up behind me if you prefer to do it electronically instead of filling out the card. So yeah, again, fill those out, drop them in the baskets in the back, and we'd love to be praying with you guys. Next, if you guys call Westwoods your home, or if you feel a pull to partner with us in next steps financially and what we're doing around here in the community, we do have envelopes at the electronically. We do also have iPads in the back of the room if you'd like to give electronically that way. But yeah, I just invite you guys to maybe pray about it, ask the Lord where he's inviting you into next steps in your relationship with him. And if it's through giving, we would love to partner with you guys in what he's doing around our community. So I am going to go fill out my prayer card, and then Joe Brooks is going to come up and give us a couple of announcements.
All right. Well, if you're done, great. If not, just keep writing. You don't have to look at me, but you do have the pleasure of listening to me. Next week is Father's Day. We're really, really excited about that. It's just going to be a day full of dad jokes around here, so it's going to be pretty fun. I hope you're looking forward to that. But if you saw out there when you walked in, we're going to have closest to the pin challenge for guys to be able to win a golf trip. It's not really a trip. It's just a golf outing, I guess. But it's going to be fun. We're going to have root beer keg here. We're going to have giveaways in here as well, just like we did on Mother's Day. It's going to be a day that you don't want to miss. So bring somebody that looks like a father, because it's going to be great. If you look around you, you'll see this. It's like a pledge card. Last week, we were so excited to kind of unveil the 7700 Lighthouse Campaign. And so that's a campaign that we're doing the next 6 months to the end of 2022. And really, it's helping us put our foot in this corner to be a more permanent I can't think of the right word. We're more permanent place right here in this neighborhood, because our goal, if you look on these pledge cards, our goal is to transform this city with the love of Jesus, one friend at a time. And what we talked about last week is we don't own this building. We've been renting this building, and we have the awesome opportunity to purchase this building. But we don't want to just do something just to raise money. And so we believe that there's lots of different objectives that help meet that goal. And so as we talked about, that's kind of broken up. 7700 is the address of the church. And so we broke that up. So we wanted to start 7 new MCs, which are like our small group around here, and have 77 new people in those MCs. We want 770 people praying for Westwoods and praying for the transformation for our friends to love Jesus. And 7,700 people attending services. And so that's about 300 people on average on a Sunday. And so we're expectant to see that growth. And then 77,000 scriptures read. And so that's kicking off in August. And so we need you guys to partner up with that. And then again, that bigger number, that $770,000 raised in order to help with the down payment and to make this place what it could be and what it can be to help serve our community better. Just need help and interest in being a part of those teams. So whether that's the MC team or starting a new MC or being a part of reading scripture together, we would love for you guys to take this, pray about what it looks like for your friends and family, and then also like you can just drop these in the basket. If you want any information or anything more about this campaign or what we're doing, why we're doing it, there's some information in the guest area just right outside these doors, and you'll see kind of all the objectives laid out. But we need your help to sign up, and we get to partner together to meet this goal. So super excited about that. I get my own shut up music. So do that. This summer we have 2 Sundays that are going to be really, really exciting and a little different. So July 3rd is Sunday, and we're going to have only one service that day. So no 10:30 service, no 9 o'clock service, but a 10 a.m. only service. So that's going to be fun. And then on August 21st is our back to school, which it seems really weird to say that, right, because it's summer, but we're going to be outside, and so we're going to have worship outside. It's going to be great, so look forward to those. July 3rd, just one service, 10 a.m., and then on the 21st of August, we're going to be outside. So put those in your calendars. You don't want to miss those. Man, it's been a wonderful day around here. It's beautiful outside. I hope you can enjoy your day. Come back next week. Bring a friend. If you want to talk with Drew, he'll be up and around here. I'll be around or by the Lighthouse Campaign in the back. We'll see you guys next week.